So I think this is vlog number 103. So this is going to be a different vlog today because I still am not back into my house. And I left my camera down at the beach house, the house on Fort Myers Beach. So been a very interesting couple of days. Been a very, very interesting couple of weeks. So we had Hurricane Helene came in and flooded the island. Pretty decent. And then not 10 days, maybe 2 weeks later, we have, oh, look at that. Wow. Huh, that's a treat. Then we had Hurricane Milton came in and did it again. And we just cleaned up all the sand. You see it on the road here, all the way down to Estero Boulevard and all the way down Hickory Boulevard. And then now they're cleaning it up again. So it's truly a sad day in the sense that there are a lot of people that have been displaced, and there are a lot of people that are, this has been multiple times in 2 years and 1 month that we've had flooding. And if your house is in a low-lying area and let's say you inherited it from your mom or whatever, and you don't really have the means to keep it up, then these are death blows. You're rich, but you're house rich. You got a $500,000 or $1 million property, but you don't have any money, and you don't have any income. So what happens is that means that a lot of people, they're not going to be able to live here anymore. So right over there, that little inlet, which is bigger now than it used to be, Hurricane Ian opened that up. It wasn't like that before. So what I'd like to talk to you about is this morning I got up and I'm dealing with the backlog of stuff that I didn't get to do because of these storms. One of the things is Blake, who's doing who's finishing up my book, doing the editing on the Demolition book. He sent me a copy to go ahead and proofread. And then Adam sent me kind of a stern, like, I sent this to you so because I do these things immediately. If they send it to me, unless there's a hurricane coming, I turn this stuff around quickly because it's very important to me. So, if you're going to write a book, I'm going to tell you a couple things that I've experienced. One is at least the two companies, I use two different companies because I'm hoping to have one of them at the end that I'm hoping I get lucky enough that I have one of them at the end that I can use long term to help me do the marketing of the books. The marketing of the books, coming from our standpoint, is not really that important to me. It's the fact that we have a book. It creates the expert status. Although I do think that what we're bringing is valuable information. It's stuff that people could really use to start creating wealth from nothing, which is what I did with the junk removal stuff. And then we came into, we segued into and became a demolition company. But you could use this business to do anything. You could use it to start a thrift store thing, or you could use it to be able to write books, or you could use it to do your jewelry business or whatever. But this kind of business is something that you can count on. It's constant money coming in all the time if you do it the way we did it. Now, I'm showing you how to do it from the standpoint of us doing it from zero. Now, if you have a warehouse or something like that and you have space already that you can use, well, this is really not going to be this very hard at all. From there, it's just a matter of getting around it in your head, not thinking that you're doing something, you're picking up other people's trash. If that bothers you, then, get over it, because it did bother me for a while. Now, I live here on Fort Myers Beach, which is a barrier island, and we just got hit by Hurricane Milton. And I have to tell you, I see my neighbors who are very wealthy picking through my other neighbors' garbage. So the thing about it, it's all about time and space. If you don't have enough time to move something, or you don't have enough space to store it, then what you're going to do is you're just going to put it to the curb or whatever. Down here in Florida, we don't have basements. Up north, when I was up north, you were able to keep a lot of stuff that you may or may not eventually use and keep it in your basement. The basement is about as big as, this is as big as your house. So, and then you had your garages. So, but you don't have that here. You miss out on all that. You don't have basements here, because if you dig a basement here, you're going to have a swimming pool in the morning. It's the water level is really, really low, or should I say it's high. Like where I'm sitting right now, the sea level, this is about 10 foot over sea level. Okay, so if I dig a hole 10 foot down, I'll find water. There's other parts of this island that if you dig 3 feet down, you're going to hit water, because it's got a lower elevation. Okay, so the business is absolutely phenomenal, and there's a system that has evolved in each thing we do. Because what we did is we tried something, and then I applied stuff that I learned from these self-help books and stuff, and I tried something that wouldn't work, so I tried another way, it wouldn't work. Then I tried another way, and it wouldn't work. Then I tried another way, and it worked. And it didn't work all the time, but it worked most of the time. And then what happened is I came up with all these formulas. Now, they're super crazy, simple, stupid things, but guess what? If you don't know them, it's going to take you a lot longer on your learning curve. I'll give you an example. One of them would be this. Okay, I'm writing the book, and the guys editing it took this out of the book. They took the most important part of this chapter out. Now, they don't know any better. They're using their own filters. They don't know. So I have to give them some latitude there, but their goal is to edit my book, not to take the core ingredients out of it. So that's venting. I'm venting. So what I did is I put it back in. So they took what took me 500 words to explain and explained it in 10 words. So I'll give you an example. This is a good example. So we put stuff on, and I make my best guess at what I think it's worth. Okay. Now, a lot of things I don't have to guess, because I can look them up on eBay and there's completed sales, and I can use stuff like that, or I can use Google Lens, and there's something that if you're going to sell stuff on eBay, and you're going to get a lot of exposure. Now, if you're selling stuff on Craigslist or on Facebook Marketplace, and you're using your own little region, there's things that are going to sell like hotcakes in Florida that aren't going to sell at all in Colorado, and vice versa. So what you do is, let's say you don't know the price on something. So what I do, let's say it's a refrigerator. So I'll take the refrigerator and I'll figure out how old the refrigerator is, and then I figure out, okay, what would that refrigerator cost today? And then I will go, okay, let's look at the condition, and then I'll say, okay, I'm going to put the refrigerator price on for a third of what it was worth when they sold it the first time, if I can figure that out. And typically you can with the internet. You can figure that stuff out. So what happens is I put it on for a third of what it's worth, a little more if it's in really good condition, a little less if it's in lesser condition. And then what I do is I take that and I put it on, and I call that my fantasy price. That's the price that I'm fantasizing that I'm going to get. So then from there, what I'll do is I'll say, okay, this has 4 weeks, and I just say things silly so that my staff can understand and remember what I'm talking about. I'll say this has 4 weeks that it can rent space from me. Okay, then it's got to go. So what I mean by that is I'm going to try that price for 4 weeks, and after 4 weeks, I'm going to drop it. Starting on the 4th week, I'm going to drop it 10%. And then next week, I'm going to drop it 10% again. I'm going to drop it 10% again. And you got to drop it on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. So what happens is you got to do this on a regular basis. If you do that and you're religious about it, and you have a reasonable amount of space that you can store stuff in, you'll do well, and you'll sell everything, most everything. I mean, some things aren't going to sell, and some things are worth a lot of money, but they're not going to sell in your marketplace. I'm in a really tiny marketplace. I'll give you an example. I used to go around for Publix. They would zero out certain equipment, and they would have junk removal companies go pick it up. Well, I was picking up meat slicers all the time. Well, here's the thing. How many restaurants are in this area? How many of them slice meat? Okay, how many of them are going to need a meat slicer in a really tiny marketplace? My marketplace that I'm in is 300,000 to 500,000 out of the season, and it goes to about 1.5 million in season. But people who are coming here, they're coming here to get away from the winter. They're not coming here to start a business and need a meat slicer. So I got to understand that. So if I can't sell a meat slicer on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, I mean, you can sell anything if you lower the price enough, because somebody's going to take it just thinking they can do something else with it too. But if you put that on eBay or Facebook or eBay, you can sell it. Well, it's going to cost you money to ship it. You got to make sure it's worthwhile and it's worth your effort. So that's an example of something that if you know, and it's a rare thing, but it's really worth a lot of money, but it's not worth anything if you don't have a buyer for it. Okay? Now, go to the middle of Denver, Colorado, or go to Atlanta, Georgia, or go to Tampa. Well, there's going to be a ton of people that need something like that. Now, some of these people, they'll come from Tampa, they'll come from Sarasota, they'll come from Miami, and they'll buy our stuff because they're saving a boatload of money. And all they got to do is drive over here and get it. So that's kind of like, so that's just an example of what I'm talking about, having a system in place. Now, we have a system for everything. We have a system for how we handle our labor, how we pay our payroll, how we do everything we do. There's a system, okay? Now, is it the perfect system? No. Is it the right system? For us, yes. For you, maybe not. You may be a strong analytical, and you might do your bookkeeping different than we do, but that's okay. But the fundamentals of making the money, that I know. And that's where you should emulate what we're teaching you. So that's pretty much it. So let's go back to talking about what I've been dealing the last couple of days. So I got both my books back, and I sat down to revise them this morning. I finally had consistent internet. I got my YouTube stuff kind of up to date for a couple days, and then I jump on there and I'm reading the book. Well, Adam's sending me back my book to look it over, and he's giving me crap because I didn't look it over already. Well, I did already look it over. I already sent him the revision, and man, it just makes me mad. So these guys they're doing a wild amount of stuff, I guess, and they're just getting it all mixed up. So Blake, he sent me his revisions, and I went through, I was only doing one chapter. Well, I ended up going back into the 3-4 chapters before. Well, he didn't have the revisions that I put on those chapters in there. So I revised them again and sent them to him again and said, please, we can't keep doing this stuff over and over and over. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. I don't know why people think that it's okay to do stuff. And when you're doing a book and you're saying the same thing in each chapter, you got 1 or 2 or 3 paragraphs in each chapter that's the same 700 words. I'll tell you what, it makes me want to scream. So it's cool that we have all these different resources on the internet but the reality of it, when you're dealing with these marketing people, you know what? If their mouths are moving, they're lying. And that sounds negative, but it's the truth. We have had so many problems with marketing people. They know they can collect all kinds of boatloads of money from people all over the world, and they can do what they're supposed to be doing. They should be embarrassed. The last time Blake sent me his revisions, I called him up and I said, did you read this? He's like, no, honestly, I didn't. I said, well, you should have, because you tell me this, and then you send me something like that. I said, you should be embarrassed. If I sent this to you and I was working for you, you would have called me up and screamed and yelled at me, because it's terrible. So that's why I'm taking the time to learn WordPress. That's why I'm taking the time to understand Google Ads at a new level. That's why I'm doing all this stuff myself, so I can teach other people how to do it. They'll eventually become better at it than I am. This is an Alex Hormozy clarity thing, something that he said, because they're doing it all day long, every day. Now, entrepreneurs are really good at doing a whole bunch of things, and we do them satisfactorily. They get the job done, but how good are you really at it? Something that you did 2 or 3 times. So did you get by? Sure. You know, the thing about it is, in this world, you're going to find out there is no competition. There is none. There is no competition. You want to know why? Because people, they just don't follow through. They don't. You know, it's the truth. They don't follow through, and they have no pride in their work, and they don't believe in the golden rule stuff, which is do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So, all right, so there you go. You're part of my therapy today on this vlog, but I'll teach you some things that I've learned. Okay, here's the thing you got to learn how to do. You got to let things go. Okay, now for me, letting things go, I've become very good at that, but I have noticed a pattern with that with me. So typically I'll go complain to Angie about it, complain to baby Logan about it, and then complain to you about it, and then that's it. I'm done, because I ain't got time to carry a bunch of baggage with me. So so that's basically how I do it. So you know, success leaves clues. That's a statement that is, you know, I have read the same statement in several of the books that I have read, and I've read probably close to 400 self-help books at this point in my life. And again, a lot of my reading is done driving around and listening to stuff, books on tape. A lot of times I listen to the same ones 20 times because I'm trying to glean out of them all of the golden nuggets. So, but anyway, this is Dave Lockwood, Remove It Pros Demolition, and I'm just here telling you about, you know, what's going on, and talking about the hurricane that just came in and the different stuff that I'm dealing with. So I'm going to go ahead from here. I'm going to go film another episode of the Hurricane Milton saga. So Remove It Pros Demolition. See you on the next video, and I should be back into my house and my studio probably Monday. So that's it. See you later.